If you grew up in an unstable home and still think that you owe your parents anything, I ask you to rethink your priorities. Most people put themselves in so much pressure and stress just because they think they have an obligation to meet their parents' expectations, even though they clearly failed as parents. But I'm here to tell you that you owe them absolutely nothing. In fact, it's them who always owed you everything because it's them who chose to have you and not the other way around. So don't punish yourself for not being the perfect child because trust me, I know you probably didn't grow up in an environment that could support you being the perfect child, and instead, I want you to focus on yourself. Focus on your mental health, your spiritual life, and figure out your true needs and desires. And above all, focus on your own priorities. Because I promise you, the less you focus on yourself and put that attention somewhere else, the more stressful, guiltful, and depressed you become. And I tell you this because the past 4 years of my life, I put so much pressure on myself to give my parents the kind of support they ask for, despite them never giving me that kind of support or stability growing up. And what that did to me is that I found myself growing in stress every day because my entire focus would be my dad needs money, my mom needs those new pairs of shoes, and my dad needs his debts paid off so he doesn't go back to prison. And since every day I would put my attention on them, I slowly began to forget about myself. I lost a lot of sleep. I couldn't even bother and do anything with my life because by the time I planned how I would help my parents, I would already be mentally exhausted to do anything else. But then last year, I said, fuck it. This is not how I want to live my life. I want to find out what makes me happy and do what makes me happy. And with me shifting my focus to myself, I had to sacrifice a lot of things, including my dad's needs, because the past 3 years, he's been living off of my support. And it wasn't until September of last year that I actually put an end to it. Last September, I get a call and he goes, I need $5,000. You think you can find a way to get me that kind of money? So I was like, let me see. I'll call you back. I sat down and started to think. I was like, okay, I don't have that kind of money on me. And I ran out of people I could reach out to for support. And my savings have already been drained thanks to him. So what is it that I can do? And I just sat down with my thoughts for a bit and then a thought struck my head. And it was just say, no, I cannot help. And something about that thought brought me so much peace. So I called him back and I said, Dad, unfortunately, I cannot help you. He first went quiet. Then he started to lower the price. He was like, okay, what about 4K? Then 3K, then 2K. Eventually, he walked away with nothing. And of course, every time I said no, he went apeshit on me. He began to scream. He began to shout. He thought that I sold him out, that I don't want to help him anymore, that I just basically said, Dad, go fuck yourself. Which although was kind of true, it's just I wasn't bothered anymore to put that kind of pressure on myself. And that was my first time of letting go of pleasing my parents and putting their priorities above mine. And I want to make something very clear before you think like I'm a bad person for not trying to figure out a way to help him. My dad was absent out of my life for years. And I promise you, my mom wasn't making things easier for us either. So I was like, okay, you know what? I don't find a reason to simply care anymore. I wanted to put me first. And yes, it's a bit selfish, but it had to be done. Because if I lived my entire life prioritizing my parents, who never gave me stability or support, I would just end up forgetting about myself and never really end up being fulfilled in life. So what I ask you to do is to be a little bit selfish, not to the point where you hurt others, but to the point where you focus on yourself and your own mental state of being. Set boundaries, put your needs above anyone else, focus on your true needs and desires, and never do anything that could hinder your mental health. Because if there's one thing that I can tell you, it's that if you let anything get in the way between you and your own well-being, then the only person worth to blame for you not living a better life is yourself.